Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers, the HR lady. Hey, I have a question for you. Have you ever asked yourself when you're dealing with people on your team or in your home, what were they thinking? Why did they do that? Or why do I have to explain one more time this process? Isn't it just common sense to know all this? Here's the deal. Common sense isn't a sense. It is a skill. It is repetitive behavior or a repetitive action that is often passed down from one generation to the next. We assume someone is teaching them X skill when it's really not the case at all. So you need to take away 5 minutes and put away all that judgment we just talked about and actually teach people what you need them to do. You have to say, you know what? It's not common sense to learn how to walk. It's not common sense to learn how to type. It is not common sense to learn how to drive a car. It is not common sense to learn how to run a meeting, take notes, follow up. You need to teach them. And then over time, it becomes automatic. It becomes an automatic action or a habit, which we think is common sense, but it's actually not. It's a knowledge, a skill, or ability. So next time you're sitting there silently judging people, which we all love to do, make sure you go, am I part of the problem because I didn't actually create a policy on that? I didn't create a procedure. And then furthermore, I didn't take 5 minutes of my day to teach my new hire, my employee, or somebody at my home how to do that task that I want them to do. Here's the interesting thing. When we're talking about common sense, which I kind of say is emotional intelligence, there are jobs that are more involved with emotional intelligence, but as we get involved, go up the higher food chain of the org chart, say, according to this image, we lose our emotional intelligence. Ooh, that's a little scary. It actually shows that a supervisor or a manager has more emotional intelligence than a director, an executive or VP, a senior executive, or a CEO. Why do you think that is? Well, it's because supervisors and managers tend to spend a lot more time with the day-to-day fires and tasks that their employees are doing. And they know what's going on in their employees' work lives. And they also know what's going on in their employees' personal lives because they're working amongst them. And so if you are a director and you're not dealing with your employees one-on-one as much, why don't you get out, walk around, join those Zoom meetings, ask them questions, have, a quick chit chat with employees. Same if you're a senior executive or a CEO. Don't be making policies and procedures without involving the frontline supervisors and managers and asking them, if we change this PTO policy, for example, how is it going to affect you and your team? So remember, emotional intelligence, common sense, it's not common. The further we get away from the front line, the more we lose emotional intelligence. And then on top of that, the common sense must actually be a taught item and then develop into a procedure and or a policy. And when we go up the food chain, up the ladder, we need to know, well, I'm not in touch anymore. And that's okay. It's not my fault. It's not my responsibility, but it's important for me to loop in people that are dealing with the frontline employees and maybe even ask the employees themselves how this new policy or change in benefits is going to affect them. Thanks for listening today. Remember, common sense isn't common. Make sure you don't judge people based on your common sense, which you kind of forgot someone taught you about. Take care. Wendy Sellers, the HR lady.